This is how to talk to a feminist. Let's begin.
So the history of feminism.
Be quiet.
Actually...
Shut up. Shut up.
Oh, okay.
This is how to.
You didn't see that coming, did you? Didn't see that coming, did you? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Nierman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. I hope you're all having a phenomenal Hanukkah. I hope you find it spiritually uplifting. I hope each and every one of you, whether you know it's Hanukkah or not, I hope you find that this is a spiritually uplifting time for you. Those of you who are marching headlong into Christmas, gearing up for Christmas, getting Christmas gifts, setting up arrangements for family, or preparing for Christmas dinner. This is a very special time of year for people of almost all faiths, I guess. Even the made up faiths like Kwanzaa. So yeah. Anyway. Tonight is Thursday night, last show of the week. We're going to close out this week strong, where I just had a killer lineup tonight. First and foremost, yesterday, as most of you are aware, Trump was going out and addressing the nation. You may or may not have heard his words there, and there was all this doom and gloom that was coming out there from the right, woke right, specifically, not the real right, the woke right, where they were basically saying, oh my God, he's announcing we're going to war with Venezuela. Things didn't turn out exactly as they planned. Didn't turn out exactly as their dire threats were warning. I also have a story I've been trying to get and squeeze in here all week that I want to spend some time talking about this base Nana who basically faced this insane Karen. And I have a right to say that. I'm going to explain to you why it is that I specifically have a right to say that what she did was insane. I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you why it is I particularly have a right to say that what she was doing was insane. And the repercussions and fallout of that have been magnifico, amazing, awesome, delicious. You're going to certainly enjoy that. We also have a story for you that I haven't seen many people talking about. You probably haven't heard about it, about this woke church, which is basically trying to bastardize and destroy Christmas every way humanly possible. So I'm going to cover that story with you guys and the horrific way that this church has basically what they've been doing in preparation for Christmas is just unspeakable. It's probably going to shock you a little bit. I also have the updates for you with respect to goings-ons with executive orders and Congress, the House passing bills that seem pretty freaking awesome. And, Judge Dugan, case closed today. Closing arguments are heard today. So we're going to break all that down for you over the next couple of hours. Get comfortable, hit the like button, share with your friends, drop a comment if you're watching afterwards, being like, oh, I'm just settling in, and I can't wait to spend 2 hours with you, Joe. Whatever it is that you drop in the comment, the algorithm doesn't really read that. All they really care about is that you do. So if you can hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying what you see, certainly I'd appreciate if you hit that subscribe button so you can find me yet again sometime in the future. And yeah, with that, Let's get underway. I almost didn't start with that video in the beginning, how to talk to a feminist. I just thought it was really funny. It was really a different video that was more fitting for tonight. And it's based on this. Based on this. Tucker Carlson announced to the world before Donald Trump came out and spoke yesterday. He told the world that he's got inside information. He's got people in the know who are telling us that, oh my God, he's going to declare that we're going to war with Venezuela. This is what Tucker Carlson, or as some people would call him, Qatari Carlson. I don't know if I call him Qatari Carlson, but I definitely think this guy has lost something ever since ever since he broke off on his own. There's something a little strange with him. And this is the key part of what Tucker said.
Members of Congress were briefed yesterday that a war is coming, and it'll be announced in the address to the nation tonight at 9 o'clock by the president. A member of Congress told me that this morning. So that's what I know. Members of Congress were briefed
Members of Congress
that a war is coming, and it'll be announced in the address to the nation tonight at 9 o'clock by the president.
Oh, war is coming. War is coming. Oh, war is always coming. We've been hearing about this war, that he's the warmongering president. It's the most astonishing label that you could probably give him, Donald Trump, is the label of warmonger that the woke right is desperately trying to convince folks. And the left is sometimes picking up the same banners saying, oh yeah, warmongering Donald Trump. This guy has brought more peace to this earth than anybody in living memory. And probably you can go back possibly 1,000 years to find someone who brought much peace to this earth. Tell me who in the last 1,000 years has brought more peace to the world than Donald Trump. And yet they label him the warmonger. It's astonishing. That was the final edit on Tucker Carlson. That's what he aired live. Apparently there was a different earlier edition that he was thinking about using for explaining his whole theory for why it is he thought we were going to war. This I think was the initial first edit.
Well, apparently we're not going to war with Venezuela. My sources were wrong. I just wanted to share how it is.
Oh, sorry. This was him afterwards. This was Tucker Carlson after he saw that we're not really going to war with we're not going to Venezuela. So he explained what his sources were.
That I got the information, if you allow me. Last night I had a dream. President Maduro came to me in the dream and he said, Tucker, El Presidente Trump is declaring el war on Venezuela. I need your help, O Tucker. The dream was so real that I had to check if it was true or not. So I called Candace Owens. She said that all dreams are totally credible sources of information. That's where she gets all her information from. So now I know we're definitely going to war with Venezuela. I had to check with a government source one last time before I leaked this totally credible information. So I called Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she said, Tucker, you go ahead and leak that information. I also had a dream about it. So that's basically what happened.
Yes, it's AI. I don't want to misinform you. It is AI. It's not what it is. Yeah. The way you know it's AI is because there's so much truth built into it. So that's how you know. R.I.P. Greg Biffle. Man was a huge humanitarian and NASCAR driver. Oh, sorry to hear about that. Passed away with his wife and 2 kids in a plane accident. If you're the type to pray, please send one up for his family. Oh. Thank you for sharing. I did not know that. But I appreciate you calling that to my attention. And Daniel Weimer comes in here gifting while we're here. Daniel Weimer comes in gifting 5 Good Lawgic memberships. God bless you, Daniel Weimer, bringing these new people into the following. As I'm about to break down this story a little further about the humiliation that the woke right is feeling, but I saw that announcement. I wanted to pull it up. I thought it was important to share. So the 5 people who he brought into the following include, and please make sure when you hear your name that you express your gratitude to Daniel Weimer for coming on in here and blessing you, conferring upon you status as a member of the following, which is not at all a type of cult. And I am very much not at all the leader of the following. It's just a gathering of like-minded individuals who are seeking greater personal growth through community, unity, learning, and thinking. So, yeah, and those 5 people would include none of your business. 4054, come on down. Max Deplorable 2A189. Sonaniel 5969, Terry Ruggiero 1718, and Lion by the Sea. Welcome to the following. I haven't seen Lion by the Sea in a minute or two. I recognize that little avatar. It's been a minute. Welcome. God bless you. I hope that this is like season's greetings. There you go. Gifts are coming out. Money is pouring out here. You guys are far too generous. Jackals of Terra Argentum says, not a fan of adventurism, but if the U.S. had to invade anyone, at least with Venezuela, be enforcing the Monroe Doctrine. This is true. It is. Whole Monroe Doctrine, which is basically covering the Western Hemisphere, saying we're going to keep the Western Hemisphere. We're gonna be policing the Western Hemisphere. It's a lot better than policing the rest of the world, right? So, good call. Jackals Terra of Terra Argentum, always coming in with based history knowledge. This is true. So it wasn't simply Tucker Carlson. It wasn't simply Tucker Carlson who was sounding the alarm bells of Trump is dragging us into a war again. It's not that he's dragging us into a war again. It's that the loonies are continually screaming that he's dragging us into a war even when he's not. You would think at this point in time, given that he's now got roughly 5 years of serving as president under his belt, that people would recognize that he happens to be the most brilliant international manipulator that's been recorded in, I don't even know since when. This is the one area that he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. If you care about American policy, American agenda, you can have all sorts of questions with respect to some of the things that he may have said or done, mostly said, with respect to domestic policy. But when it comes to international policy, one of the reasons I rank Donald Trump as one of the greatest presidents in our history is because the principal role of the president, there's two principal roles. One is to be the chief the chief of the executive branch, and the other is that he's supposed to be serving as our point man for the world. That's why he's the commander in chief. So and that's where he excels in ways that far exceed any other president. There's no one else who's been close to understanding the temperature of the climate of the world and how to basically make sure that he puts American interests first while at the same time not dragging us into a war. And basically is able to use the tremendous leverage and power and influence that America has to assert his will on other countries without starting a war. That is a genuine art. So he wrote a book, The Art of the Deal, and I'm sure he employs many of those tactics with respect to how he conducts himself in foreign affairs. So when these Nancys come out and start whining and crying about how he's dragging us into a war, I'm just like, you unappreciative jackasses. Like, stop worrying that he's going to be dragging us into a war. Does this mean that there will never be a time that he ever ends up taking us to war? No, he might. He could. But he seems to really, really have a very, very solid feel as to exactly how far he can push people to get them to do his bidding. People from other countries, leaders from other countries to do his bidding, to do his will. And he knows exactly how far to push them and in what directions to push them and when to yield in order to avoid that ultimate conflict. And he's so good at it that he's actually brokering peace deal after peace deal between other warring nations. Like, that's how good he is at this. And it's really, it's very disappointing that the bitter hatred that so many people have for President Trump makes them lose sight of his unique capacity for this and try and find bases to try and bring him down. Now, and I've said many times before, he's a very, very flawed individual. And on a personal level, I'm sure that he can be very difficult to work for. It's very possible. It could be very, very difficult, very taxing. But as far as the results that he gets, particularly on the international stage, the failure of the American people to fully appreciate just how magnificent he is in understanding the distinctions between a Far East mindset and a Middle Eastern mindset versus a Western mindset, in understanding the temperament of a Putin or a Zelensky or a Macron or a Trudeau, to basically chase Trudeau out of his office. He understands what he's doing. You might not like his methods all the time. You might not like his tactics, but he understands what he's doing, and the net benefit is for you and me, the American people. And that's why, look, and when it comes on the tariff issue, I'll tell you right now, Constitution doesn't really contemplate having a president who really understands how to use tariffs the way that he uses it, which is why they didn't bake into the Constitution that he has that natural tariff power. So I think it's very possible, if not likely, the Supreme Court is going to come out and say that the Constitution doesn't support his position that he has authority in that domain. But I think if that shortcoming exists, if that legal shortcoming exists, we can either look at it as a shortcoming in the founding fathers, or you can look at it as they didn't contemplate having someone who would be able to be so effective and skilled as to how to use those tariffs in order to better American interests. I don't want to get into the whole tariffs thing, but I will point out that tariffs could either be used to raise revenues on behalf of America, or it could be used to bludgeon opponents. And when it comes to raising revenues, that's considered congressional power. When it comes to bludgeoning our foreign countries or ingratiating our relationship with them, which you have to realize that at the time that the Constitution is being drafted, there's no way the founding fathers could conceive of the fact that America would become the most powerful nation on earth. So there's no way they can conceive that there would be a president 250 years in the future who might want to use that strength and power to assert American influence across the world. So you can understand how when they're drafting the Constitution, they're not looking at tariffs as how can we use tariffs as basically a giant stick to basically wave around in people's faces or threaten them or beat them over the head, or as a carrot, but how we can, in order to induce them to do what we want. And instead of looking at it as like, well, tariffs are to raise revenues, so, because it's money that's coming in for the government. So that's a taxing thing, and that's that's a legislative type of thing. So given that, you can understand and sort of explain why it is that the founding fathers would not have been in a position to think of using tariffs in that way, and would not have granted that broad swath of taxing, of what they consider taxing power, and on the basis of his role as our leader on the international stage. So, but anyway, all these people, all these loonies, these, like I said, these Nancys in the woke right who are crying about about us going to war, and that he's going to drag us into a war, and have zero appreciation for just how good he is at what he does. So Dave Smith, libertarian leader Dave Smith, came out and he was also crying about how Trump is going to drag us into a war. He's dragging us into another war. And I found it here. CCP is asshole. Share it out. Tonight, Dave Smith is disappointed Trump didn't announce that we're going to war with Venezuela. As they say, let that sink in. Yeah, that post is unavailable because he deleted it. Coward. A freaking coward. So God bless Sean Farash, who was on this show. And it is someone I consider sort of friend. Why did Comic Smith delete this post? Why not just own it and say he was wrong? It's because he is a coward. This is the post there. Look at this long thing. Look at this thing. Look at it. Oh my gosh. Let's read this idiocy. Pop open. Oops. Dave Smith. In 2016, Donald Trump told Jeb Bush to his face that his brother lied us into war. This was at the South Carolina Republican primary debate of all places. That night, every hack on cable news, and some people actually watched back then, took to the air to announce that Trump was finished. Go back and find a compilation if you can. They all said it. It's hilarious to watch. I remember people saying that. Not only was Trump not finished, he dominated the primary the next day, sweeping the state, taking every single delegate. Trump's supporters loved that he opposed the war party. They had seen the results of terror wars and weren't buying the lies anymore. For years, Trump supporters bragged of no new wars, as did Trump himself when he needed to be elected again. Since then, Donald Trump has sided with the war party and against his own base at every turn. What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? Where is he sided with the war party? How many peace deals has he brokered? Tonight, apparently, Trump is announcing a new war with Venezuela. It is obviously a war of choice, a war of aggression, and a war sold on lies. A war not in America's interest with potentially devastating consequences. In other words, it's yet another betrayal of his movement and his country. You utter loser, Dave Smith. You utter, complete, and total loser, Dave Smith. So, not only did he not put out an announcement that he's putting our soldiers in jeopardy by sending them to war. No, that's not the end of it at all. No, far better than that. He didn't just simply say, "Hey, military, I'm going to be calling upon you and asking you to risk your lives for us yet again." No, that's not what he did. Instead, he had a completely different message, a 100% exact opposite message for our military when he spoke last night.
Just passed one big, beautiful bill. Tonight, I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call warrior dividend before Christmas, a warrior dividend in honor of our nation's founding in 1776. We are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money along with the...
So he's sending money out. He's sending them a Christmas warrior dividend in order to help celebrate and help them enjoy Christmas a little bit more. So no, instead of sending them off into harm's way, he's sending them money. That's how much more wrong could you possibly be? How much more wrong can you possibly be than sounding like Chicken Little, running around screaming, "Trump's dragging us into war, Trump's dragging us into war." Then for him to say, "No, they're staying home and I'm sending them a nice Christmas gift." It's like, how does he crush his enemies like so effectively? How does he do it? Like literally the exact opposite of what everyone was screaming he's going to do is what he does. When you have to stop listening to these idiots. When you see people getting things so wrong, I am imploring you, do not give them any space at all. You cannot give them quarter, because what's going to happen is they're going to do this again and again and again and again and again. As long as you, and I don't mean you individually, I mean you, the broader, greater public, keep giving them an audience being like, "Oh my gosh, this is what Dave Smith, oh my gosh, Tucker says we're going to war." I'm not saying that these people have not offered up perspectives that sounded in the past based or whatever. You need to hold their feet to the fire the same way you would hold CBS News to the feet to the fire when they're full of crap. You need to hold their feet to the fire. And you are just flat out wrong, and you're sitting there trying to gin up anti-Trump sentiment. You're joining up with the left in trying to get people to turn on Trump, to basically ruin the entire good vibe feeling that we have by telling everyone how terrible Trump is, without any real information, and instead warning us about what's going to happen. You did the same stupid thing when you said we're going to war with Iran. Oh my God, we're at war with Iran. Here comes World War III. And now you start saying we're at war. Just, you cannot give them a break. You cannot be like, "Oh, well, they got it wrong." No, it has to be like, "No, you know what? You are a waste of time. You're no more valuable source of information than CNN, that you're pretty much guessing and hoping that you're right. And your guess is sprinkled in there with a really strong tilt in flavor and the flavor of your choice. That's why they're referred to as the woke right, because instead of like the woke left, they ignore facts and logic and reality in order to sort of push their agenda, and they'll frame things as they want to in order to help push along a narrative. And if certain facts don't fit comfortably into there, they can sort of slide those to the side or literally just flat out 180 degrees lie about it. That's the same thing that the woke right does. It's the same thing. It's like they have their certain set agendas to what it is that they want, and whatever reality says doesn't even matter. They're going to tell you reality is completely different than what it is. And then start opining with the like, oh my gosh, here's a betrayal. A betrayal. Tell us about the betrayal, Dave Smith. You're full of crap. You don't know anything. Political child. So aggravating. Instead of owning it, that political child decides, I'm going to delete it. This never happened. Oh, this never happened. How humiliating. And he'll keep doing it as long as people are listening to him, as long as people keep retweeting him and pressing the stupid likes on his retarded takes. You wouldn't give Katie Griffith that type of appreciation. You wouldn't give CNN that type of appreciation. But because these people have said, I'm not angry at you, I'm speaking with passion because it's very bothersome to me about how people are refusing to hold them to account when they get things wrong like this, so blatantly wrong. I mean, just 180 degrees. This is flat out. Everything you're speculating and saying is going to happen is no relationship to the actual situation in the world that the humanity lives in. But it's just running around screaming, oh my God, 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 can't believe it. And the more times you click on them, retweet them, like them, follow, the more you do, the more oxygen you give them. You're just making them richer by doing it. So why wouldn't they keep doing it? The same thing with nonsense of Candace Owens. You just give, the more oxygen you give to it, it's designed to basically demoralize all of us. We have a unique window of opportunity right now. Over the next 12 months, we have a unique window of opportunity to get things done. And people who are purportedly from our side, who are basically sitting there stabbing us in the leg and then stabbing us in the shoulder or in the back and smacking us in the face, it's not helpful. There's a lot that, there's a bunch of things that the Trump administration has done, which I would be like, you know what? That should have been done much better. That was a fail. But there's going to be failures along the way. There's going to be failures. There's going to be miscues. There's probably be 3 more miscues over the next year. Every time we're going to come here and smack him in the face. How is that productive? How is that helpful? And the biggest screamers and shriekers about this, those jackasses on the woke right, they literally make money. They make their money. They get the attention. That's the hot take when they're sitting there turning on Trump. Which get people to click, oh my. Oh, we're going to war with Venezuela. Oh my. Oh, well, I don't want that. Stupids. Yeah. They sound like this schnook over here. Where is this guy? Where's this guy? This schnook over here, Graham Plantner. Graham Plantner, for combat veteran from Maine. Running for Senate, this guy. Look at this guy.
As a veteran of the war in Iraq, it is terrifying for me to watch the United States government yet again trying to lead us into an illegal war that is going to do absolutely nothing for the average American.
See, there they go. There they go. There they go. I'm speaking out against these people because they need to be spoken out against. You think it's not that I was hoping a day would come where I'd be able to come and blast Tucker Carlson. I was never hoping for that day. But if we don't hold the people who we considered heroes, we don't hold them to truth, we're no different from anyone else. Oh, guys, says Franklin D. FDR ushered in a modern trade policy with the RTAA, empowering him to cut tariffs by half in exchange for concessions from other nations, bypassing Senate approval for each reduction. I understand that there are different legal bases that Congress has opened up the door to try and give the president certain tariffing powers in certain circumstances. That's true. But you have to work within these statutes in order to get the tariffs to be approved. And then, frankly, is subject to court approval instead of having the carte blanche ability to just drop tariffs on whoever he wants. And the reason I'm concerned about. The reason I'm concerned about, I understand Bush, Clinton, Obama used the Trade Act of 1974, Omnibus Trade and Competitiveness Act of 1988, and the Trade Priorities and Accountability Act of 2015, granting the president's authority to lower tariffs by up to 50% in trade agreements. Yeah, okay. Look, and I appreciate the insight you're giving in, and what you're saying is accurate. The point, though, is that the primary tariffing power starts with Congress, and then some portions of it get ceded over to the president. And also, what Trump has been doing is that he's been broadening it on a universal level. When you talk about Bush, Clinton, or Obama using tariffs, and it was pretty clear from the start here that I'm a big believer that Trump should have tariffing power. America would be better off if he had unilateral decision-making power on how much tariffs we're going to be dropping on everyone. I think America would be in a much far stronger position if that was just the lay of the land. But that is not the lay of the land, because the Constitution starts off by the rights of duties and imports. That's the powers over duties and imports lies with Congress. So now Congress has ceded some of that, given over some of that power to the president in certain circumstances, and obviously many presidents taken advantage of it. But it doesn't. I can certainly foresee a strong chance the Supreme Court will ultimately say that doesn't mean you can do it on a universal basis, which is literally exactly what he did. He's like, I'm putting a tariff on the entire world, starting a baseline tariff of 10%, and others having a higher level tariff. Like, literally, I'm tariffing countries that don't exist, islands, because I know, why did he do that? People were mocking him that he's tariffing islands. He's like, I know, otherwise they'll just stop off over there, and that way say it's being, on their way from China, they'll stop off on this Penguin Island, and then they're going to claim that, well, it came from Penguin Island, you can't tariff it. And that's why he basically, and that's why he started tariffing those as well. So it literally is a tariff that he was implementing and invoking against every country in varying degrees. And I can certainly foresee that that's going to be deemed something that's beyond his purview. So I don't like the law, but I can tell you what the law says. If Trump uses tariffs benefits USA, then it's illegal and constitutional. Screw the elitist wussies. So what I'm saying is it's not because of that. I'm saying it's the breadth with which he is issuing tariffs, which I think is going to be hard to be legally justifiable. And that's what I'm expecting the Supreme Court to say. As a vet too, but I say, boom the ever-living crap out of the cartels. Yeah, let me tell you something. There's a bunch of ninnies who are all sitting there trying to say they were waiting for help, and oh my gosh, they were waiting for help. None of that is relevant. They're narco-terrorists. Doesn't matter. Literally, if they're waiting for help, you can use that as an opportunity to shoot them. They're not entitled to these protections that the left thinks they're entitled to. And it's not a war crime. It's nothing close to a war crime. It's actually the moral thing to do. So that's my thought on that. That is my thought on that. Over in the ghetto. Ghetto is kind of busy tonight. Things going on in the ghetto. Pinochet's helicopter says Dave Smith fell for a false barium meal. Let's not get too excited, Joe. You're acting like you had inside information. Nobody wants to be an a-hole complaining about 1776 to troops, but it's inflationary. Okay, so I will say this. I agree with you, Pinochet, that I don't really like these disbursements. But if there's anything that he's going to do, if he's going to use money to build goodwill, I prefer him giving it to our veterans than giving it to the entire country, first and foremost, by a long shot. A, because it shows appreciation for our military, and B, because it's much less inflationary. It's not as impactful. There's not as much money that's going out. It's a demographic. You're talking about, instead of going out to 300 million people, it's going out to what do you say, 1.4 million? So it's not quite as inflationary. So in that sense, it's two reasons that it's a good thing. Something to consider, Joe. Dave Smith and others like him want accountability and acknowledgement for the U.S.'s past scandals. Lump old scandals with new. I'm going to tell you right now, Pinochet, that it's nice he wants accountability for old scandals. Is accountability for the lies that we heard about the Iraq War, is that something that is like top 20 of things that you feel need to get done today? No, it's nowhere close to my top 20. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, you know what? I think, Bush should be held to account for bringing us into a 20-year slogfest quagmire in Iraq and Afghanistan. But there's so many things I would put on a list ahead of that. Says accountability must happen, Joe. The government must pay in pain and humiliation for those crimes and lies someday. Dave Smith and others just thought Trump would be that guy. Accountability for me is for I'm a big believer in the accountability. I've talked about the accountability and a major feeling of failure for this country. I was talking about this literally last night. Is that we felt as if there's not going to be any accountability coming from this administration, it's not coming from Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. And where the hell is it ever coming from? I was talking even beyond Trump. I was just saying that we finally got these guys in power, the ones who have been screaming about accountability. But that was more on an individual type of level. They're mad because their past crimes were not brutally punished and the lies government told keep popping up everywhere. So Dave sees patterns. Yeah, he sees patterns all the time. He attributes those patterns to Trump. And that's... What past crimes you ask? Ukraine, for example. CIA meddled in 2014. That is fact. I agree with you on that. The whole color revolution, what happened in Maidan, that was all America. It happened. U.S. citizens deserve to suffer for it. That fact alone demanded Trump's stop all Ukraine funding day one. I don't understand what you mean by U.S. citizens deserve to suffer for it. What is that? What the hell does that mean? Why should U.S. citizens suffer for decisions that were made by the CIA? I don't understand that. I could not disagree with you more vehemently. What the hell should U.S. citizens deserving to suffer? What does that even mean? In my opinion, yes, deal with it immediately. Millions brought to the scaffold before a penny wasted on lies. I don't want to see any money. Look, you tell me you want to cut all funding on the international level. I sign that bill in a heartbeat. I say, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, awesome. I'm totally on board with that. That's not what I've seen him saying. Certain countries doesn't like us funding. Who sued Trump? Who pushed the tariff issue into court? The wussy elites. No problems until the wussies got their panties a bunch because it's Trump. Of course they got it into a bunch because it's Trump. I agree with you on that. But look, people can get themselves twisted into knots because they're angry about something or because they're angry at the person, right? You can be angry about a particular thing, or you can be angry at a particular person. And I agree with you that the motivation when it comes to anything Trump related is not because of the thing itself. It's because they hate him. And now whatever it is he's doing, they're trying to say it's evil. And they're going to try and say it's about the thing when we all know it's about him, right? So in other words, if you see someone doing something and you say, I'm against this, your motivation for being against it could be because you don't like the thing being done or because you don't like the person doing the thing, right? It's the item versus the individual. So I don't like this item or I don't like this individual. I know that the left has a long history of basically saying, I don't like this item that Trump is doing, and lying blatantly, transparently, that their motivation is they don't like the thing that he's doing. Even if he's doing something that they themselves did 5 years ago. No, I don't like this thing. Oh, this thing's terrible. And that's where the tell is, that it's not that you don't like the thing, it's that you don't like this person. Just shut up and go away. So I agree with you that their motivation is always, we hate Trump, whatever it is he's doing, we think is evil. Even if it's something that we were literally screaming about 10 minutes ago, we think it's evil because Trump is doing it. I agree with you, guys, that's what their thinking is. However, sometimes, on rare occasions, when someone comes with a thinking of, I don't like what this guy is doing, and their motivation is because they don't like the guy, they might happen to have a moral and or legal justification under the law about the thing. So they're coming at it saying, pretending that it's about the tariffs, that they don't like the tariffs. That's not at all what the situation is. It's completely that they don't like Trump. But that since they're coming in and claiming that it's about the tariffs, a court is going to look at that and then say, well, are these tariffs okay? This is why they lost over and over again. But on this one, I'm saying they could win because technically there is constitutional basis to raise questions about what he's done with tariffs. I wish it were not the case, but there is actual basis there. I know they don't care about the tariffs. They just want to see Trump beaten any way they possibly can. But that doesn't mean that they didn't accidentally fall ass backwards into a legal justification that actually has some legitimacy to it. That's my point. The reality is American right has long avoided patronage systems. It's ideologically noble, but politically self-defeating. Let him hand out cash if it creates the foundations of a solid network. Listen, I want to be clear here. I don't like the idea of cash back from the government to American people. I don't like any of these socialized type of things. And that applies to people in general and applies to a specific demographic. I don't want to go into a specific type of people. And I certainly, but if you're going to pick one group of people that it's like, you sort of feel like, okay, let's give them a little love. First on the list is going to be our military, right? Who's going to come above that? So if he's going to do that, it's like this is the least objectionable way for him to be giving cash back. But I agree. If you ask me, should it be done or should not be done, as a general rule, I'm with you. It shouldn't be done. In the context of everyone saying he's sending our troops into harm's way and he's doing the opposite, that's why I was lauding that it's like he's doing exact opposite of what they are saying. But yeah, it's like I sort of feel like on this gifting, it's like, if you ask me, like, where do I fall on that fence there, right? So where do I fall on the fence? Let's say the fence is right here. You got this thing. Where do I fall on the fence here as far as yes, give it or no, don't give it. So when it comes to like, if this fence is running under a thing of like, should we be giving money to Ukraine? I'd be like, oh, hell no. And just like way over here. When it comes to like the America giving money to most groups, I'll be like over here. When it comes to the military, I'm like, okay, I'll put it like over here. Like right on the just like, I shouldn't do that. It's particularly funny in the context of them saying that we're going to be sending our troops to war. So, For some, accountability would be the FBI being declared a terrorist entity in open rebellion, drones turning BlackRock's corporate offices into sand. For some, accountability would be the FBI being declared a terrorist entity in open rebellion and drones turning BlackRock's corporate. That's true. This bullcrap about legal wars is stupid. Korea legal, Nam legal. All the other military actions since World War II. Nope. CIA Act needs to be repealed. Oh, this is true. Conservatives need to play just as scrappy as the left. Comey free even when he's guilty. Wussy leaders let go. The hydra of the deep state is hard to end. Very hard to end. It's very hard to end. They've had a lot of time to build up their defenses. It's very hard to end. I agree. It's very, very hard to end. Pinochet says, I should use the word perpetrators instead of citizens. Those are two very different words. Oh my gosh. Those are two very different words. Yeah, you should have. Okay. Okay. It happened. And so now I'm rereading what Pinochet wrote. I'm going to pop this out so everyone can understand, those who can't see what I'm looking at here. So I'm going to share it with you so you can see what it is that I'm talking about with Pinochet here. So this way, those who are watching in YouTube can have a better appreciation for my conversation here with Pinochet. So over here, Pinochet had been saying that they're mad because past crimes are not brutally punished and the lies government told keep popping up everywhere. So Dave sees patterns. What past crimes say? Ukraine, for example, CIA meddled in 2014. That is fact. I agree. That is fact. It happened, and initially what Pinochet wrote is U.S. citizens deserve to suffer for it. Later, when I said that sounds crazy to me, he changed that to U.S. perpetrators, which that is a very different thing. That fact alone demand Trump stop all Ukraine funding since day one. I should use the word perpetrators instead of citizens. Newland, Haspel, down the line, Fast and Furious, IRS targeting J6, Reichstag fire, etc. Forgive me, I'm autistic. No, you're fine. You're fine. Justice must be done, though the heavens fall. I don't have a problem with justice being done. I want justice done also. That's not what he's beating the drum about. He's beating the drum about us going to war. And claiming and saying the way he worded it is Trump betrayed us again, as if this is like what everything he's been doing. He's been negative Nelly since the January 21st. So yeah, and stamping his foot and screaming about things that never came to pass. Now, some of the things he screams about, I've screamed about also. Like, I want justice. I want Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Obama, all of them being held to account. I think that failing is on Bondi. And I think that could be attributable to Trump, that he stands behind Bondi, even when she seems to be failing so magnificently, so audaciously failing. I said from the get-go, I'm going to give her some time. I'll give her 6 months, 9 months, but we're coming up on a year now. So my patience is run on Bondi. My patience is run. That's very different from saying that Trump is dragging us into one war after another, which is a complete and utter BS that Dave Smith says on the regular. Point in my head I didn't properly articulate is that these are U.S. citizens doing these color revolutions. That implicates me. I demand capital punishment for that implication, non-negotiable. Yeah, that's not reality, though. That's not reality. It doesn't implicate you. Doesn't implicate you by any reasonably thinking person. Okay. I understand where you're coming from. I'm just saying it doesn't implicate you. No one thinks it's your fault. People, when it comes, let's say, on the Israel situation, people blame Bibi individually all the time. Happens all the time. Or Mossad. And recognize that not every Israeli is part of Mossad. Where's Bibi? So too, CIA does something here. It's not attributable to you or me. But I digress. Oh, wow. There's still more going on here. T-Rex says, I do believe in a certain amount of government assistance, fire departments, libraries, EMS, and even some welfare programs. The problem is people taking advantage, ruining it for everyone else. To the extent, this is what I think makes sense. To the extent that there is a joint need for something that can only really be done expeditiously when it's done on a global scale. The collective paying for it, financing it, makes sense. So national defense is obviously, it's far more efficient and logical to have defense be on a national basis where we all join in as one, contribute to it, cover it, and have a joint defense. Similarly, you could say the same thing about fire departments. Another great example. We don't know which of us, if you have 1 million people living in a city, they can look at each other and say, we don't know which of us is going to have a fire, but reality is that one of us will. So let's all cover the cost, be prepared for that eventuality, irrespective of who ends up being the ones who need it. And the same thing you could say for EMS. Schooling is a little bit different, but sort of understand how that's more cost efficient to do it in general. So yeah, all of that stuff makes sense. But that's different. The more things you start adding in, and schooling is the first one that I'd be like, that should be something that always felt to me like it should be an individual basis. It's so grandfathered in here that we just have, public schools. But you could ask, why do we have public schooling? Isn't that socialized? Isn't that socialism? And to the degree that there's propaganda coming up in our education systems, that certainly feels like it's real socialism. And you talk about welfare programs, try and feed the hungry or give them shelter or clothing. I think that the more of that we enable, the more you're actually depriving the charitable nature of man. You actually end up crushing, snuffing out the charitable nature of man. I'm far less likely, aside from having people take advantage of it, which is a serious problem. And that's something that I think we take far too lightly. There should be far more serious punishments for people who take advantage of socialized programs, of social welfare programs, because they're stealing from the public, and it's so hard to catch that when we do catch them, the punishment should be very severe, because it's an easy thing to take advantage of. Since it's such an easy thing to take advantage of, and there's so much incentive to take advantage of it because it's so easy, that's why, as a deterrent, I think it's important to basically say, we're going to hold you to account when we find you guilty of this. You're stealing from all of your friends and neighbors, and we're going to hold you to account for that. I think the punishment should be more egregious than when you steal from one individual. But because we know there's so little oversight. it just seems so easy to do. And if someone in government is helping to facilitate it, that should be even worse. Because you're now you're like a traitor to the people who put you in power. That's how you snuff out corruption. Make it make those punishments really stick. But the thing in general about welfare programs is you as a person, me as an individual, you as an individual are far less likely to be charitable to your neighbor when you sort of feel as if there are all these different safety nets that they already have available to them. You sort of like, why do I have to be standing underneath you and waiting to catch you when the government's there to do it? The government's got like this big, massive safety net for you. So why should I help you out? I don't have to help you out. You're going to be fine. Because you're just going to get, government, you get SNAP and you'll get your Section 8 and you'll get, everything will be taken care of for you. So why should I donate to you? I'm already paying taxes and that's helping you out. Even though when you're paying taxes, you're not doing it with any sort of charitable nature. So whatever level of charity you give now, you very likely would be giving a great deal more if, in fact, we didn't have these welfare programs. So it's a discouraging thing to the individual. It discourages him or her from giving charitably because they feel like, well, what do you need to come from me for? You got all these government programs. And that's I think a damaging thing to the individual, because I think the opportunity to give charity, our chance to give charity and actually help our fellow man makes us better people. It makes you a better individual. It makes you interact with people in a different way. It helps you develop a respect for your fellow man, appreciation for the significance of them. It makes you introspect as to what you're doing and how you treat your fellow man. So my point is, all of that gets eroded and worn away when we have these welfare programs which discourage you from ever giving anything to the poor. Do you think Mage will turn out to vote for midterms? I think MAGA will turn out to vote for midterms, or just stay home like crybabies because we elected him for accountability and we ain't getting it? I bet stay home and let Dems gain a majority to impeach Trump again. Okay, so I was talking about this a little bit yesterday, and what I'll tell you is this. Traditionally, the party that's in power and wins a presidential election will lose some of that power in the midterms. So given our slim margins, you're starting off with almost a built-in assumption that all things being equal, you're going to be losing the House that you hold a slim majority over. All things being equal, that's the most likely scenario. You'll lose the House because that is just the state. That's just the way things have been going for countless decades. So that would not be surprising. It would be actually far more surprising if we don't lose it. Now, you want to tell me the reason we're losing it is because MAGA is staying home because it likes Dave Smith, and he definitely could have influence. Tucker Carlson has influence. So might they stay home because of that? Because of them? Definitely possible. And could that hurt us? 100%. Definitely could. Definitely could. And that's what they want. They want us. They want to punish. Say, oh, you failed? Now you're being punished. You're going to lose elections. Which is like, how stupid is this? How stupid a perspective is that? So look at what you're bringing in instead. I mean, I guess they'll say, yeah, we got to burn it down. Have these lunatic Democrats come in there and burn it down. Sounds like people who scream burn it down have never lived through a fire. They've never lived through a real fire. Never experienced sitting there when things are going down in flames. You think you know what flames are. You don't know what flames are. You saw it in a movie. You don't like really experience it. When you talk about burning it down, it's very easy to say burn it down when you've never been in the same room as a fire. But it's way too early to make predictions about that. There are so many factors which play into turnouts in an election that I think it's way too early to really have any sort of idea on that. Yeah, tell me what the economy is. You tell me what the economy is going to be doing a year from now. The economy is booming a year from now. People will come out. People care about what affects them. Yeah, I know that's what you meant. I got that. Off topic, where the bill of Congress passed and Trump signed demanding the release of the Epstein files, the deadline is tomorrow, December 19th. What do you think will happen? I think they'll release something. It won't be as much as we were hoping for. I think they'll release something and people will be like, yeah, there's more. And there may be. There likely is. So we'll probably get a little more. There's more here from Pinochet. Before we move on, the closer the money travels from taxpayers to the needy, the better social programs and taxes are to stomach. Taxation is theft. Pinochet is based as hell. Taxation is theft. I think Dan leaving the FBI and going back to his podcast is actually going to be extremely beneficial to rebuilding the coalition that started to fall apart after Charlie's assassination. Maybe. Hopefully. Can only hope, right? He's going to have a lot of questions when he steps down. A lot of questions. I feel as if we're going to be getting a lot of information when he steps down. That's what I feel like is likely to happen. Behind the scenes with Dan Bongino. I think his podcast will be fire. Like must-see TV for a while. Okay. So there's a story that I've been trying to cover for a while. I've been trying to cover this story for a while because I feel as if it's an important story. It's important because this is a woman. This is the greatest generation showing us how to live, how to display class. Utter amazing class. Far left activist nurse berates elderly Target employee over Charlie Kirk freedom shirt, calls her effing stupid in a TikTok meltdown. Let me pull up this video.
Why?
They let you wear that shirt here?
Yes. Why?
Was this the beginning? Or is it longer than this? I remember it being longer. Is there a longer one? Maybe this is it. I saw this like a couple days ago. So.
Why are you taking my picture?
Why are you wearing that shirt? You're working.
It's
not
a
Target
red shirt. I can wear any red shirt.
It's not a plain shirt.
It doesn't have to be
It's a Charlie Kirk shirt.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Are you fucking stupid?
No.
Why the fuck would you wear that? You're at work at Target. That's not a Target shirt. It's not a plain red shirt. You support a racist.
It's not racist.
You support a racist.
He's not a racist.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes.
This is obviously a very productive conversation. You can see. It's a very productive conversation. He's a racist. No, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not.
He fucking is.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stand here and argue with you.
You're not. You should go get your manager. You should not be allowed to.
Listen to how polite she is. She doesn't raise her voice. She handles herself. This woman just obviously is just a picture of utter class. This Charlie Kirk fan.
Wear that at work. Unacceptable. Unfucking acceptable.
Listen to this piece of filth talking down to an older woman, telling her that she's unacceptable. A little Karen sitting there whining. And I don't want to hear from people named Karen, okay? I've said this before. I'm going to say it again because every time I use the term Karen, and there's no other way, she literally said it, and he talked to the manager. It's literally the most Karen. That is the origin of the phrase Karen, is I need the manager. Give me the manager. This Karen over here, and also I was going to mention that you sort of need to accept the fact that Karen has changed and it means something. It doesn't mean every person named Karen is a Karen. The same way my name is Joe, and that doesn't mean I'm coffee. So people say a cup of Joe. I don't take offense. I don't get bothered by it. I understand that coffee is less objectionable than to, basically screaming, whining, I get it. But I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. There are lots of amazing women out there named Karen. And you're likely one of them. And there are a lot of women who are not named Karen who are Karens. You just sort of need to accept that this is a term. It's not going away. It's never going away. This is the reality. You have to accept it and just say, all right, I might be named Karen, but I'm not a Karen. And that itself is a mark of pride you should have.
That's your opinion.
No, the opinion is he's a fucking racist and you support him.
That's your opinion, ma'am.
Look how calmly she just keeps saying it over and over. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. I'm not going to tell you how stupid you are, but she's calling him effing stupid, saying I'm going to talk to the manager. How can you do this?
And you
Have a nice day.
should not be allowed to wear that. This is going to be taken above your fucking head. That's
Above your effing head. Like, he's such an animal.
insane.
Have a
Insane.
nice day.
In fucking insane. Piece of shit.
Just disgusting. Everything about this woman is disgusting. And she goes by Mother of Ballers. She uploaded this herself. She uploaded this. She's proud of this. Oh, how righteous and virtuous Mother of Ballers is. Oh, what a righteous and noble woman this is. Let's learn more about this righteous, noble woman. That's her right here. Unhinged liberal woman from Orlando, California, filmed herself berating an elderly Target worker for wearing a Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt and posted on TikTok. According to her Facebook profile, and there's an update to this story. This story came December 16th. There's an update to the story that came out today. According to her Facebook profile, the woman, I don't know how the hell you pronounce this. People are saying Michaela. I think it's Michelle Lee. Who the hell knows? But this Ponce, which that's her last name, works as a nurse at Enlo Health, a nonprofit healthcare system based in nearby Chico, California, where she has held patient care roles. On Monday, Ponce posted a video of herself confronting the woman as she was putting baby clothes on the shelves, demanding to know why she was wearing this shirt. Why are you taking my picture? We heard this thing. The anti-racist activist repeatedly calls the woman effing stupid and accuses her of supporting a racist. How lacking in any self-awareness, how cloistered in your own bubble do you have to be to upload this video and think that this makes you look like the good person here? The woman calmly corrects her and says Kirk was not a racist. Ponce demands to speak to a manager while declaring the shirt unacceptable. All right. In another video, Ponce lashes out at her mother wanting to buy a Bible for her teenage son. She claims to have lived in a military house with two lesbians. It's unclear who they are, as Ponce frequently posts about being married to a Mexico man. I think she's talking about a nephew, but
I love my mom. There's never a dual moment with her, but I was just with her this morning, and she told me what she wants to get my teenage nephew for Christmas. A damn Bible. The hell she is. He's a teenage boy living in a military house with two lesbians. You think he wants a damn Bible? I mean, that's a nice gesture. Give that to him as a gift out of love out of another holiday or something, but for Christmas.
Well, Christmas is a religious holiday, from what I've been told.
Imagine being a teenage boy and opening a damn gift and it's a book.
Ignorant. You ignorant little schmuck.
PSA. Tell your grandmas out there. Don't be doing this shit.
Wow. Wow. The incident drew widespread backlash with calls for her to be fired from Enlo Health, with accusations of bullying and demands to target to trespass her from stores. Enlo Health, nonprofit healthcare system, has not yet responded publicly to the controversy. This was as of 2 days ago. They have now. The Gateway Pundit has reached out to Enlo for comment, update the article if one is provided. Then update, Ponce deactivated, privated all of her social media accounts shortly after this report was published. Yep. I tried following her. You can't follow her. I tried finding her videos. I wanted to spend a day with you guys just going through her videos so you can see this unhinged lunatic in all her glory. But she has turned tail, like most bullies do, when they actually are confronted with the ugliness of their actions. So that was as of 2 days ago. Before we get to today, before I get to what came out today on this story, this machshefa, is I made a point why I, in particular, at the opening of tonight's show, I made a point as to why it is that I am particularly appropriate to call this woman out. The reason that I took that position is because I've come out clearly about this issue when it was someone from MAGA's side who was being harassed. It was someone from the left who was being harassed by MAGA, and it was a woman who was working in, I think, Home Depot, working the counter there. And I said, I think it was after Trump was, as I recall, it was after the Butler shooting of Trump, and this moron who worked in Home Depot at the register there was cheering and, saying that she wished that what happened, that the bullet had hit him. So someone found this woman when she was working in Home Depot and was basically blasting her. Why would you write such a thing? Why would you write such a thing? And filming themselves harassing this woman there. And I was like, look, this is an older woman. Is she an idiot? Yes, 100% she's an idiot. Should she be humiliated by what she did? Yes. Should the entire world try to scorn her? Should we try to get her fired from Home Depot? Is that like a good thing for us to do? No, that's stupid. She literally is living in like the worst possible status that someone can possibly find themselves at in a financial way. You want to try and punish her financially. How much more do you want to punish her? So that she should basically be homeless and living on the public dime, and then we should be paying for her? Or would you rather her working in Home Depot at a register position? I don't want someone who carries those opinions taking care of the sick or teaching children or in any way that the nature of the service that they are providing is influenced by their own unique perspectives, talents, and abilities. Those jobs they should not be holding. But when you're talking about someone who's basically serving as a human ATM, popping out a receipt, taking money, putting it in there. That's the role they have. There's nothing noble in that role. That's them basically, especially later in life. When you're young and you're in that position, okay, fine. When you're later in life, I mean, I don't want to depress anyone who might be in that position. What I'm saying is that's not something that's not living the American dream. No one has a dream of growing up to be that. So they're already in a station in life which is about as unenviable as you can possibly have, other than living on public assistance. And we don't want people living on public assistance. We don't have to pay for them. So they're basically going out there, and I was like, why would you harass this person or tell Home Depot, go fire them? Why would you do that? I understand this person's an idiot. I understand they're a loser. I understand they're a moron, jackass, stupid, embarrassment to themselves and their family. So we should try and cancel them out from life? Try and basically destroy their lives just because they're stupid? There's a lot of stupid people out there who have terrible ideas, twisted ideas, pathetic ideas. They're relatively harmless, but they're stupid people. Why would we be trying to basically say, no, you're going to have to live on welfare for the rest of your life, and we'll be paying for you for the rest of your life? How is that better? Is it not better to say, at least we don't have to pay for you? Go live your stupid, non-existent life, your miserable existence that you're in. try and take away that miserable existence. Look, I hope everyone has joy in life. Anyone who's in that type of role, I hope they have other joys in their life, whether it's with their family or their hobbies or with God, religion. You can find joys in life outside of your profession. But there should be no basis for us to try to strip someone of that profession when that profession is the most unenviable profession in the world. Well, it's not a profession. It's the most unenviable job in the world. When they're living in that type of capacity, to try and strip them of that and say, hey, get this person fired, seems stupid. Now, anyone can find joy out of life. So if you're one of these people, I want to be clear, if you're one of these people who's an older person working a job like that, there's a million ways you can find joy out of life, but it's certainly not the way you're making a living. So why are we trying to take someone away from that? That's the position I took on this a year and a half ago. I was like, you should not be harassing someone who's working in a department store. Because you don't like, when they're basically sitting there working like she's stocking shelves, old woman stocking shelves. So you're going to be harassing her? Even if she's totally wrong. Let's assume she's totally wrong, which she's not. She has to be right, and you're the idiot, Michelle Lee. You're the moron here. But even if you were totally right and she was totally wrong, why the hell are you trying to, destroy her life? How miserable is your own life that you have to try and destroy the life of someone who is living in such an unenviable position when trying to sustain themselves? Why would you do that? How small and self-destructive a person, how miserable are you in your own life that that's what you're trying to do to this person? Even if they're a terrible person. How do I transition from that into what's backstage here? It's not easy, but I do have a guest who popped on in here.
Hello.
How are you, brother?
Well, I'm having a bad day. I just wanted to pop in and apologize. I had a technical issue.
You don't have to apologize.
I had a technical issue with my monitor / television. Took a crap, so I went and bought a new monitor at Best Buy, and it wouldn't fit on my desk. So I'm on my way back to exchange it and get a different one. Problems and all.
You inspire me, brother. You bust this guy. Let me tell you, he's frozen now, so I don't know if he hears me. This guy busts his tail. He busts his tail. No one to shut up. He busts his tail trying to deliver entertaining, informative content to the world. Invests ridiculous sums of money into it and busts his tail running out at 8 o'clock at night and running around trying to have everything set up properly. I applaud you because your diligence is an inspiration. It really is, brother.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to pop in.
This is Jim Satella from Jim Tells You. Please make sure you sub up to Jim Tells You. Link will be in the description as soon as I get there. But yes. Yeah, but make sure you sub up to him. He's awesome. He's a great guy, based AF, and yeah, he's a great listen. So anyway, I hope everything works out with your computer, brother.
All right, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. Hopefully, if I can get it running, I'll try to fire something up later for maybe midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning when I get it all done.
All right. If I don't see you before then, have a very Merry Christmas, my brother.
You too, buddy. All right. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Anyhow, I have more updates on that story from the crazy Target attacker. Guy says, how does Dan going back have anything to do with Kirk? I don't think it does. Let me give you this. How does Dan going back have anything to do with Kirk? The reason for Kirk being permanently sidelined for eternity was because he couldn't get grassroots to voting booth for midterms. He learned that lesson in 2018. Charlie was the tip of the spear. Yeah, I don't know what Dan going back. So what we were talking about. No, what he's saying. Oh, I understand why you're saying this. T-Rex said, I think Dan leaving the FBI and going back to the podcast is actually extremely beneficial to rebuilding the coalition and start to fall apart after Charlie's assassination. To answer your follow-up is, how's Dan going back having to do with Kirk? What he's saying is, what I understand T-Rex to be saying here is, there has been a creak that has happened since Charlie Kirk died. There's been some splintering that's happened since Charlie Kirk died. Having Dan step out of the FBI and go back to having a podcast can serve as a unifying thing. So it's not that Kirk's death has anything to do with Dan leaving. It's that I think T-Rex is looking at Kirk's death as a launching point for where things started splintering, and saying that maybe Dan's return to podcasting can help fix the splintering, wherever the splintering started. I frankly believe that the splintering started with Dan Bongino himself and Kash Patel when they made those claims that we were all wrong all along about Epstein. I think that's where the splintering started. I think it started in July, not in September. So, and I think so yeah, but Charlie was amazing. I don't think anyone argues that. Daniel Weimer gifted. Oh my gosh, did I miss that? Gifting 5 Good Lawgic memberships. Who did you bring to us? Following 5 people brought into the following, courtesy of Dan Weimer. Another 5 people. I should give you the horn for that. Following 5 people brought into here. When you hear your name, it would be most appropriate if you would express your gratitude, Daniel, for bringing you into the following, which is not at all a cult type of cult. It's just a gathering of like-minded individuals in search of greater personal growth through community, unity, learning, and thinking. It's not at all a cult. There's no spaceships, no Kool-Aid, no mandatory tracksuits are voluntary. You don't have to wear the tracksuits. There's no goat sacrifices, no squirrel mutilations, mild farm work, no throwing virgins into volcanoes, no dancing around bonfires to the beat of a tom-tom while shucking up your clothing. It's not at all a cult type of cult. And those 5 people are Skylar the Creator, Ashley Shows Up, Beers and BS, Lisa Vogel 350, and Swamp Sagacity 4685. Welcome to the following. We got cookies. I'm out, go Hawks. I meant to check on whether or not. Now I'm all bothered. I forgot to check before 8:15. I wanted to check whether or not what's-his-face Devonta Adams was playing. Is he ruled out of the game? Is he playing? I need to know. Is he playing? I really hope he's not playing. Oh, good. He's out. Phew. Maybe Colby will do something. Maybe Parkinson will do something. Romans 12:21. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. 1 Peter 3:9. Don't repay evil for evil. Don't retaliate with insults when people insult you. Instead, pay them back with a blessing. I think this is a reference to that crazy Karen. The crazy Karen. Take a shot. What? Get out of here. Did I really hit 1,000 likes? Out of here. I said I'm taking. Yeah, I have up here a poll. If I get 1,000 likes, I'm going to take a shot. I don't even understand what's happening. I don't even understand what's happening. I can't figure out anything about YouTube. I don't understand anything about YouTube. YouTube's confusing the heck out of me. I'm just going to say that. I don't understand it. Anyway, the follow-up to the Crazy Karen story comes here to you live. I'll bring it to you right here and now. Viral Target meltdown update. Elderly woman berated over Charlie Kirk tea. Speaks out. Unhinged nurse begs forgiveness. Begs forgiveness as hospital pleads. Stop flooding our lines. Oh no, things are not going well for Crazy Karen. Elderly woman is berated over Charlie Kirk. She gets to speak out. The unhinged nurse begs forgiveness, and the hospital pleads, stop flooding our lines. That's Enlo saying, please, please, stop telling us how terrible a woman she is. We know. We work with her. We know. Jeannie Beeman, 72-year-old Target employee who was berated for wearing a Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt, is the now viral video has come forward to speak to the media, and Enlo Health, Michelle Lee Ponce's employer, has held a press conference asking people to stop calling and demanding her termination. She should be fired. She should. What happens if she has to work with someone wearing a freedom shirt? She's going to freak out? She's going to, like, harm them? I don't know. She's a lunatic. Ponce herself has also released a statement, which is not written in the way she herself speaks, begging for forgiveness after the Chico police announced that they have dropped their investigation into the incident. Additionally, the Give Send Go fundraiser launched by this reporter. Who's this reporter? Cassandra McDonald. Oh, there you go. To send Beeman on vacation has now raised over $215,000. The incident, which occurred in a Target store in Chico, California, was uploaded to TikTok by Ponce herself. However, she shut down all of her social media accounts shortly after the Gateway Pundit caught it and covered it on Monday. Before being locked down, Ponce's TikTok channel featured videos of her complaining about her mother wanting to gift a Bible to her teenage nephew, threatening us to start a blog exposing all the secrets of people who live in her town, and laughing about people in her community believing that she has a hit list. There has been seemingly endless complaints about her behavior in local Facebook groups for a while. In the video she uploaded of Beeman, Ponce demands to know why she's wearing her shirt, repeatedly calling her effing stupid and accusing her of supporting a racist. She also demands to speak to the manager in an attempt to get her fired. Jeannie remains remarkably calm throughout, explaining that Target employees may wear any red shirt, and correcting Ponce by stating that Kirk is not a racist. Ponce escalates by demanding to speak to a manager, declaring the shirt unacceptable, while Jeannie politely wishes her a nice day and walks away. That was the video there. Beeman informed the Gateway Pundit that Target is standing by her, that her manager has since called to check on her, and that even with her massive fundraising haul, she may not leave her job because she loves everyone there so much. See, this is what I was saying. You can find joy in your life, even if it's not like you're not living you're not in an experience that is enviable. It's not a financial environment that is enviable. She expressed enormous gratitude to everyone who has supported her. Her daughter also spoke to the Gateway Pundit, explaining that Monday was the 12th anniversary of her husband's suicide after a long health battle and oncoming dementia. She said the day is always very hard for her mother, so the timing of the outpouring of support to her was uncanny. She also said that her mother is beloved in the community, and that it hurt her to see the video because her mother is such a kind woman. Speaking on video to a local station, Action News Now, Beeman's infamous kindness was on full display as she said that she does not want to see Ponce lose her job because two wrongs don't make a right. Well, she's mistaken about that. Her kindness is enabling this lunatic to continue being a lunatic. I don't think that's right, Beeman said. Two wrongs don't make a right. You know, she wronged me, but I don't want to wrong her, or I don't want her wrong, because it's not going to make it right. That was her opinion. But she's the one that put it on Facebook to put it on that, so, you know, but I really wouldn't want to see someone lose their job over it. This is a very Christian take. This is a very Christian take, in my opinion. A very Christian take. Uniquely Christian. What I'm saying is, this is the extension of grace in this way to someone who wronged her is a very Christian take. I actually think that justice would be for that woman to lose her job. She's trying to get Beeman fired and acting like a complete animal. And this is one of those areas where Christianity is like, no, you should extend grace even to someone who's an animal. It's not a Jewish take. That's what I said. It's a uniquely Christian take. I don't think Islam has that take either. Ms. Jeannie Beeman speaking out after being harassed. Let's hear from her directly.
I know people are calling for her to be fired for this. Do you think that that's right? Would you like that to happen?
No, I don't think that's right. Like, one saying I have is, two wrongs don't make a right. You know, she wronged me, but I don't want to wrong her, or I don't want her wrong, because it's not going to make it right. I mean, that was her opinion. But she's the one that put it on Facebook or put it on that. So, you know, but I really wouldn't want to see somebody lose their job over it.
And the reason I'm saying that this is a Christian take is this is, you know, that compassion to someone who's evil. And I think that this woman is an evil woman. And I do think it's justice. She essentially was trying to get this woman fired. She's such a monster that she was trying to get this woman fired. And I think that's what justice is. That what you're trying to visit on someone else, specifically, that is what happens to you. Like that's the closest thing to perfect justice we can actually have. And I respect the kindness of this woman. I have a deep respect for the kindness that this woman has. I just don't. I think she's wrong, because it's not two wrongs making a right. It's one wrong and then justice happening because of that wrong. So she's looking at it as two wrongs being a right, meaning that someone getting fired from their job is a wrong. And what I'm saying is, no, this is remedying that wrong. Hey, if you're going to end up being some jerk who tries getting people fired, you lose your job. Report appeared more interested in whether Beeman was violating the store's policy on the shirt than in her victimization. The news outlet noted Target's dress code policy lists unacceptable attire, including graphics, logos, or slogans that advocate for or against a political party or candidate for political office, but does not include content related to terms and conditions of employment or that is otherwise legally protected. Beeman explained that the shirt is allowed and that the STL, the one over the store, has seen me wearing it. You know, I passed him by a lot of times and he never said anything to me. The CEO and president of Enlo Health, excuse me, Mike Wiltermuth, held a press conference on Wednesday asking people to stop calling and would not reveal if Ponce was still employed there. He claimed they received over 6,000 calls and it has made it difficult for patients to get through to them. Wiltermuth described Ponce's behavior as abhorrent and contrary to Enlo's values of respect and civility, expressing sympathy for Beeman and commending her on her calm demeanor. So I think that's, is she going to be fired? No. Do I think that that's something that must be pressed upon them? Nah. I think it's appropriate for her to lose her job. I think it'd be better if she lost her job. But it's not like something that I feel like, you know, the public should be continually, like, I wouldn't be leading with pitchforks and rallies against Enlo, marching outside with signs screaming, you know, fire Ponce. Dan is going to regain everyone's Trump after his time as an FBA. I think that if he reveals what's went on inside there, I think he may. Many of the podcasters really threw a lot of shade in his face to drop his trust meter rating. Dan has an uphill battle. That's true. That's true. But he just needs to start spilling some tea about what's going on behind the scenes, and people will start trusting him. That's reality. 72-year-old lady is living the scripture that I just quoted. She's completely right. Like I said, this is a Christian take. It's a Christian take. Almost as if it's beyond man to try and implement justice. The Torah says Torah tells us that that's what we should be trying to implement justice. Ben Shapiro is absolutely flaming Candace and Tucker on stage at AmFest. You'll love it. It's live on YouTube, and Rumble maybe dissect it tomorrow. Let me see if we can catch that. It's live on YouTube. Let me see if I catch a bit of that. Let's see if we can find that real quick.
Deeply concerned about events in Gaza.
I can't watch this. I can't. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. Now that you brought this up, Kathy. I'm going to tell you that I don't remember if I ever tried sharing things under when Charlie Kirk was alive from Turning Point USA. I just don't have a recollection whether or not I ever did. I do not have a recollection about whether or not I ever did. But what I do know is this. When I shared out that memorial, TP USA came down on me so hard through YouTube. They were such complete, total jerks about it. Total, complete jerks about it. Like, you know, basically trying to get a strike on my channel for sharing that out. So, I mean, when it comes to that entity, I'm like, yeah, I can't share anything they do. They're definitely, I know what they're going to do. They're going to basically come here trying to like steal all my money. So, yeah, it bothers me. It bothers me because I think that they should not be so possessive about something that's like bigger than them. I felt like that memorial was bigger than them, and they're making it all about it. And they became insistent about making it about them. So if they were doing it in that context, they will certainly do it with respect to AmFest. So I was very, very annoyed by that. I ended up having to take the video down, I think. I'm not sure if I took it down. I definitely didn't dispute it. I was just like, screw it. It was mostly their content. Proverbs 25, 21, 22. If your enemy is hungry, give him food. If he's thirsty, give him water to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head, and the Lord will reward you. Well, I mean, that... Okay. 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 I think that it's misattributing what Proverbs is trying to say. Let me see if I can pull that up. Now you got me all. I think you're misattributing what the objective of what that statement is. So in this context, and I actually pulled it up here. This was written by King Solomon. We do uphold by Proverbs. In other words, Proverbs is not New Testament. That's part of what Jews recognize as well. And this is the passage you're referring to here, which in Hebrew reads Imre'ev Sanecha Hachileo Lechem Imtzama Hashkeo Mayim, which as you correctly writes, if your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat. If he's thirsty, give him water to drink. Is this the nature of this enemy that we're talking about over here? Is this someone who has done something specific to you? Meaning, we're not talking about just someone who's in general warring with you. But we're talking, and it says, you'll be heaping live coals on his head. You'll be heaping coals on his head, about Hashem Yishalem Lach, and Hashem will reward you. So, what does that mean? You'll be heaping live coals on his head? How do you understand that? The point is, God will wreak vengeance on him. And the fact that he's remaining your enemy, despite the kindness that you're showing to him, will ultimately grant you, will basically devour whatever merits he has on his own behalf and get God to basically wreak his vengeance on him. That doesn't mean that you're supposed to implement justice, though. There's countless references in Torah to the objective of man to implement justice. So, yeah, I think you're sort of taking a little out of turn. I understand where you're coming from, but I think you're taking out of turn. I know how to read and comprehend what I read. I know the context too. Okay. I can disagree with you about what you're taking out of it. I'm not saying you're miscomprehending it. What I'm saying is I think you're taking it out of context for what the objective is there. It's not saying that we should. I mean, what I'm saying is this woman deserves justice. Perfect justice is when the very thing you're trying to visit upon someone is visited back upon them. Right? I can get very biblical with you on this. It actually ties into this week's section of what we read from the Torah. But yeah, we're really flying far afield here from where I was planning on going. I heard you tell a story of the tainted oil again, Joe. I want to reiterate that as last year's Digger #1 rule, no butt stuff regardless of tainted oils. You remember for 25 months, so I'm going to give you the horn for that. In the context of the situation of 72 on the other lady is the context. Yes, and getting someone fired is not justice. Oh, she shouldn't be getting her fired. That doesn't mean she shouldn't get fired, though. I got no problem with her. What I'm saying is she's labeling it as a wrong, and I don't think it's a wrong any more than capital punishment for someone who's a murderer is a wrong. Is that you going to say two wrongs don't make a right? Getting some deep conversations with guys today. Some deep conversations.
People started talking about.
I don't care about this. I can skip on that too. All right. I really want to cover the third story here that I have up here. I need to move along. It's been a long time on some of these stories today, much longer than I anticipated. So I told you that a woke church is trying to ruin Christmas. What are you talking about, Joe? When did a woke church try to ruin Christmas? Let me get this out of the way. We have government institution for justice. Courts can do that because God instituted those institutions. It's not for us to do with campaigns to get someone fired. Is not justice. Context. I'll tell you right now. I respectfully disagree with you. I understand where you're coming from. I just disagree with you. I disagree with you because this is someone who is working a job where she's influencing others. And it's a reflection that she's not fit for that job. I'm not saying that, even putting aside the justice element to it, which I do think exists in this particular instance, what I'm saying is it's a matter of protecting the public from her services because she basically is unhinged. So why would you want someone who's unhinged? Imagine your kid goes and has to be treated by her or someone like her, and they're wearing a freedom shirt. Like that's not a position we should be leaving someone. Her actions reveal that she's a hazard. She's a danger. So saying you don't want her fired, I said I wouldn't want, if she was working at Target, I wouldn't want her fired. But in the nature of the job that she's working, as far as working in a hospital and giving healthcare, yeah, I think that she's a menace there. So justice dictates that we protect the public from her treating people who might be wearing a Charlie Kirk shirt or a MAGA hat. I will share one more thing with you. This is what her TikTok is. Mother of Ballers. This isn't what I wanted. I thought this was funny.
Hey.
Someone did that to her picture. I like harassing the elderly. I don't understand anything else about this 13-second thing on TikTok. I thought what they did to the hat was funny. I don't understand anything else about this. Maybe one of you will understand this. That's her puns. I don't.
Hey. What?
I don't know what we're supposed to get the rest of that, but I thought the hat was funny. All right. I need to move on from this story and tell you about that church, about that woke church. Wait, let me make sure I didn't miss anything in the ghetto before I do that. Let me just be 100% sure I didn't miss anything. I did miss the ghetto. I did. There's a lot in the ghetto. Mostly Pinochet. Let's run through it real fast before I move on. I would never vote against my own self-interest or stay home. I'm in central Massachusetts. I vote just to spite my enemies. So how pissed is Bondi now? In law, how does reclassifying weed to Schedule 3 impact things in the DOJ, federally and states regarding supremacy clauses? I haven't researched that. You're asking like a criminal justice thing. I have not researched that. What I would certainly start with is that it has, and this is touching on something that I was planning on referencing here. Trump signed an EO reclassifying weed, marijuana, from being a Schedule 1 drug to being a Schedule 3. The ultimate upshot of that is that penalties that people get for violating federal law with respect to weed are much more minor, also much less likely to be prosecuted. So, and I think that the whole weed thing, I think that the federal laws only deal with interstate on an interstate level. So within a state, there's no, I don't believe that the federal law applies there. It's better the spoiled Karens suffer than society put with Karens crap for a millisecond. Genghis Pinochet. Totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. Dan going back is going to be a disaster. You cannot say anything for eternity. He was forced to lie, and he's no longer there now. What do people think he's going to be able to do? I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? I have a simple solution for those that are against firing Karen. Demand an apology. So she apparently has written an apology, but the only way Dan can lawfully talk is through a whistleblower disclosure, in which case he would be doing a podcast. I thought about that also. I don't know what he's going to be limited from being able to say. Proverbs 25, 21, 22 is basically kill with kindness, or quote James Mattis, be polite, be professional, but have a plan to kill everybody you meet. Shout out to the ghetto. Marijuana is bad and marijuana is bad. Okay. Okay. There you go. Can I please start talking about this other story? So we will spend her God-given rights via social media mob justice. That woman, yes. Yes. She's trying to go to social media to harass that woman. She's trying to humiliate that woman. She's trying to weaponize social media. She's trying to weaponize social media to make that woman lose her job. Now social media is being weaponized to make her take her job from her. I think it's such delicious justice. It's hard for us to come upon when someone kills someone, we throw them in jail. Someone robs someone or violates their inner parts, we throw them in jail. Yeah, that's what best we can do, but it's not real justice. It's not eye for an eye type of justice, the way you tend to think of eye for an eye meaning. This is literally what she was trying to do. She was trying to use social media to harass the heck out of that woman. Now social media is harassing her the heck out of the job that she was trying to take from her. It's perfect justice. It's the most perfect justice we can have. Does that mean that I would lead a cause? Do I think it's a significant enough incident that I would lead a whole fight for? Well, when the woman who is harassed herself isn't calling for that level of justice, that of course saps the life out of that movement. But I don't think I would have done it anyway. My point is that by doing these social media campaigns to harass the business fires, just like she did along with her posts, it's not up to us to dole out justice. And what I'm saying to you is people getting ticked off as all get out at that, and the idea that she's in a position. She's not stocking shelves. She is a menace. She is a menace to your child if your child is wearing a MAGA hat when they go to get treated by her. She's a menace because she shows I am unhinged in my ideology and willing to harm people. That's what she displayed. I know you disagree with me on this. I'm just telling you, that's what she displayed. Oak Lawn United Methodist Church in Dallas has twisted the sacred Christmas nativity into a propaganda tool against U.S. immigration enforcement. To me, if I was a Christian, I'm not even Christian, and I'm gonna like, that's not cool. That's really, really not cool. Not cool at all. Nothing about this. Like I said, I'm not even a Christian in this kind of like. The display features an empty altar inside the church, slapped with a mocking "Ice was here" sign, while figures of Mary and Joseph are locked in a barbed wire cage on the steps without baby Jesus. That's the manger. That's the little makeshift manger they're trying to show here. To protest ICE, Oak Lawn UMC has put the Holy Family in a cage and removed baby Jesus. Church officials posted signs, "Holy are trans lives. Holy are our unsheltered neighbors." Church also asked them to refrain from sleeping, littering, and to not use the outside of the building as a restroom. Associate Pastor Isabel Marquez, it's always an Isabel, isn't it, who's clearly injecting her personal politics into the pulpit, defended the setup by admitting to WFAA, is it political? Probably, but this is the time and space that we are in right now. Marquez rambled on about immigrants trying to seek help for assistance and for refuge while doors are slammed shut, drawing a forced parallel to the Holy Family. That's a sacred resistance for us, so that's why we're doing that, Marquez claimed, even dragging Jesus into her agenda by saying, "I think Jesus was very political. Let's see who he was hanging out with, who he was defending all the time." Quote, "People are trying to seek help for assistance or for refuge, and the inn is saying no. It's closing the door," she said. "This Holy Family is telling us that we are receiving that knock on our doors too." The display has rightly caused a bit of an uproar on social media. Oak Lawn Methodist Church, downtown Dallas, in the heart of gayborhood, we need to stop romanticizing the birth of Jesus Christ, is their message. 100% anti-deportation. Look at them steps. Look at them steps. Oak Lawn United Methodist Church anti-ICE nativity display. Rachel Griffin Allison. That's, you get a clearer view of it at night. Oak Lawn United Methodist Church depicts caged Holy Family without baby Jesus protest immigration. This is sickening. These people are sick. Church is no stranger pushing far-left ideology, even painting its steps to rainbow flag to virtue signal after Governor Greg Abbott put a stop to rainbow-painted crosswalks. Church was also hosted events including drag shows and transgender clothing swaps. Okay. Ew. 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 Oh my. Oh. Oh. No. 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 Gosh. Oh. Sickening. Sickening. Lord. Speaking of that very topic, good news for now. We'll see if we can, we'll see if we have any chance. I don't know how this will ever get passed in the Senate. Another reason to get rid of the filibuster. You want another reason? Another reason to get rid of the filibuster? Look at what the House just did. Breaking. Nick Sora reporting, breaking. The U.S. House just passed legislation to criminalize transgender surgeries, hormones, and treatments for minors, 216 to 211. Look at that. Let's go. It has to pass the Senate, which is going to be tough. What's shocking is there were 4 nays from the Republicans and 3 yays from the Democrats. Shocking that there were 3 yays from the Democrats. Shocking. In fact, what's interesting is if those 3 had voted no, it dies. It would have lost 213 to 214. These 3 Democrats who voted yay over here, they would have made this 210 plus 4 would have been 214 to 213 over here.
On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 211. The bill is passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
There you go. There you go. I have no idea what the hell is going on here with respect to the 3 Democrats who supported this bill. I mean, it's pathetic that there were 4 Republicans who voted against it. But now we say good luck in the House. Godspeed. Godspeed on that. Oh my God, I'm so offended by this story. My aunt, the ex-Catholic nun, is so happy the Church of Bishops are staying up for immigrants. My head hurts. Yeah, it's pathetic. That's this story over here. That's not the one. Sorry. This story here. This was just, I thought you guys would be all outraged. It was pretty quiet, but I was like, man, I don't know. This church is not Christian. This is what should be. This is what should be. We will tax protection from them. This is true. This is true. That's probably the right response. You want to get that political? That overtly political? Pretending that you're wrapping yourself in your Christian flag while getting 100% political. Spuds has perhaps an even better response. Have MS-13 and Trendre Agua visit Isabel for a sermon. That would be awesome. That too would be justice. That too would be justice. All right. Before I get on out of here, I want to cover a little bit about Judge Dugan and what happened with closing arguments today. Where are you? Come on. Where was it? Where was it? All right. Here's Adam Klasfeld reporting on it. I warn you, this guy's a lefty. Closing arguments about to begin in the trial of Judge Hannah Dugan. I'm reporting live from the courtroom. Catch up with my courtroom. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. As always, the government's up first. On this first day in this courtroom, you took an oath just like the defendant did. What happens when someone with the highest duty to uphold the law decides that it doesn't apply to her? It undermines the entire justice system. Imagine what would happen if every judge decided which law to obey or to follow. Where does the line get drawn when people in power are allowed to replace the law with their own personal policy preferences? The answer is simple. There is no line. There's only chaos. The judge may not decide that her personal beliefs are more important than the law itself. The roundup, referring to Dugan sending every federal agent she could find out in the hallway. The next site, the escape route. The alleged escape route being the private hallway through the door. You see how she calls it the alleged escape route? It's like, you saw the evidence on it. The defendant and his lawyer actually exited through the public hallway, but Watzka tells the jury it doesn't matter what happens next. This was a rush job. Listen to the recording. She's out of breath, speaking very quickly. Watzka says of Dugan recording with court reporter Joan Butts. They're whispering. They sound like co-conspirators. There's no way to spin down the stairs to make it sound better. The recording where the words say down the stairs is heard. There's no way to spin down the stairs to make it sound better. There's no logical explanation for the stairs discussion other than to help Eduardo Flores Ruiz evade arrest. The only remaining witness to Judge Dugan's instructions of where the defendant should have left is his attorney, Mercedes de la Rosa, who testified that Dugan didn't tell her anything about the stairs and told her to exit into the public hallway. Prosecutors suggest she may be protecting Dugan. Watzka refers to the draft policy sent by Judge Perez. ICE can legally conduct enforcement, take people into custody in public areas of the courthouse. Prosecutors, it couldn't be more clear. Judge Dugan expressed frustration about their obligations regarding ICE enforcement, not confusion. She just didn't like it. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a plan. She commandeered an unwitting participant in the plan, Judge Cervera. And defense got up and spoke. They're trying to make an example of Hannah Dugan, and they should. They're trying to besmirch her reputation, her honest reputation, her corrupt reputation. They're trying to make an example of Hannah Dugan. They're trying to besmirch her reputation, her honest reputation. I guess that was important enough for them to say twice, or maybe it was just Adam's mistake. The founders realized that the government has the power to crush you. Citizens are the ultimate check on government overreach. It's something beautiful. It makes our country great. This is an unprecedented trial. Luchek scoffs at the idea that Dugan would risk her career for a defendant. She didn't think she was. She thinks she got away with it. She arrests people all the time. She's a judge. She signs warrants. To act like this is Judge Dugan going out on a limb for Eduardo Flores Ruiz, give me a break. That's the best defense. Give me a break. Okay. I wouldn't say that this case is riddled with doubts. I would say this case is riddled with doubts. There's a risk to rubber stamp what the government wants you to rubber stamp. He puts Chief Judge Ashley's warnings about ICE in courthouses on the screen. Press release from Chief Judge Carl Ashley. U.S. Immigration and Customs agents detaining individuals within the courthouse complex pose significant concerns regarding the integrity and partiality of the judicial system. Has a chilling effect on access to justice. The presence of ICE agents can deter individuals, particularly immigrants and marginalized communities, from attending court hearings, seeking legal assistance, or reporting crimes. Erosion of trust in the judicial system. When people perceive courthouses as unsafe due to the fear of detention, trust in the judicial system erodes, which can lead to reluctance to engage with law enforcement and confusion over legal protections. Luchek says rubber stamping a guilty verdict would cause a chilling effect that would stand in the way of access to justice. I don't know if it's rubber stamping. What's rubber stamping? State court is where the rubber hits the road, he says. It's very important that we have a system that people trust. That means, what are you saying? That you should ignore the law? Just because she thinks that's how you have a system that people trust, that doesn't mean she can ignore the law. Luchek shows Ashley's press release about the concerns about ICE in the courthouses. Juries paying very close attention, craning their necks to watch the words on the screen. That's Adam saying, hey, maybe this jury is listening and really cares about what the defendant is saying. He's taking that as a good sign for Dugan. Luchek says, Judge Severa is just wrong. Her comments about Severa throwing Dugan under the bus, that's what happens. You're either a friend or the enemy of the government. Severa told the jury judges shouldn't be helping criminal defendants evade arrests. Yeah, that seems kind of obvious. Luchek says that gratuitous comment hurts her credibility. Why would she even offer that? Because they shouldn't. What do you mean? She probably wants to blame Judge Dugan to save herself, and that's what she did. Yeah, okay. So was she wrong in what she said, Luchek? Was she wrong? Is that not true? Is that what you're trying to say? It's not true? What part of the statement of judges shouldn't be helping criminal defendants evade arrest would you disagree with? Apparently, Hannah Dugan disagrees with it. That's the problem. That's why she's there. Make no mistake, this went all the way to the top. This went all the way up to the government. Luchek says Severa's account of the encounter with federal agents is impossible. Severa said Dugan angrily demanded they present the warrant 3 times. But Luchek says the footage without audio doesn't support that. She's not being confrontational. She's being a judge. Why is she being a judge in the hallway? Rapt attention from the jury as Luchek leads them through all the surveillance footage. The attorney has a breezy conversational manner and rapport with the jurors. Okay. Luchek slams the word games played by agents who testify that Chief Judge Ashley didn't forbid them from a hallway arrest. They want to play word games and say, he didn't say, we didn't have a green light. What does that have to do with Hannah Dugan's actions that day? If they're allowed to do it, why are they asking permission? It's a figment of their imagination. Everyone's confused. The agents were confused and Dugan was confused. She's not confused. She's trying to make them confused. Luchek skewering the prosecution's theory. The agent's mistakes can be forgiven, but Hannah Dugan, everything she does comes from criminal intent. In state court, in misdemeanor court, it's not like this. It's not beautiful. It's not nice. It's not polite. It's not fancy like this. Milwaukee federal court is particularly majestic and beautiful, even by federal court standards. If you don't trust the evidence the government is putting forward, it's just another reasonable doubt. Luchek points to the contradiction of the heart of the government's case. On the one hand, Dugan supposedly believes I'm going to impose my ideas. Yet she can completely act when she can't completely act when she's in the private hallway. It makes absolutely no sense. What? Luchek says such government overreach that prosecutors charged Dugan with acting corruptly. Her heart and mind were in the best place. Oh, were they? Ignoring the law is the best place. Closing arguments ended at 2 p.m. Jury instructions conclude at 2:23. Deliberation begins at 2:25. So that's what he gave us. And then there were some updates. See how much he loves Judge Dugan. Oh, my God. So, question from the jury. May we recall the exhibits that include the ICE internal policies regarding the agency's notification requirements before and after warrants are issued? Judge Edmonds says the parties agreed to the exhibits and the court provided them to the jury. So they want to know, they wanted to recall the exhibits that include the ICE internal policies regarding the agency's notification requirements, or they want to see if they got proper notice. That sounds good for them. That sounds good for defense. Dugan's lawyer, Nicole Masnica, says it can't just be that there's a warrant, because what if a warrant's for somebody else? Prosecutor compares it to obstructing an immigration arrest of an unknown individual on the street. It's obstruction, he argues, even if one doesn't know the suspect's name. So you don't have to know the suspect's name. You could still be obstructing. That's a good answer. For what it's worth, here's how the AI robot of Elon Musk's X would vote on US v. Dugan. See? I told you, he's so desperate for her. And he thinks that Masnica is in good spirits. Second jury note. All rise, judge enters. Next question from the jury. We desire clarity as whether or not Judge Dugan needs to know the identity of the arrest warrant, for example, his specific name. Parties disagree as to the answer to the jury's question. Masnica, how can you intentionally obstruct a warrant for someone if you don't know who it's for? Dugan's lawyer, Nicole Masnica, says it can't just be that there's a warrant, because if it's a warrant for someone else, the prosecutor compares to obstructing immigration arrest of an unknown individual. And Ailman, if it's obstruction, he argues, even if one doesn't know the suspect's name. Judge Ailman retires to his chambers to consider the question, and then the argument went that Mastic says there's no warrant issued for anyone else. She knows that count one is charged to specifically the warrant was EFR. Adelman proposes instructing the jury Dugan needs to know the identity of the subject of the warrant. Prosecutors object. Adelman rules for the defense. The defendant needed to know the identity of the subject of the warrant. Dugan stands, smiles broadly. Oh my God. For what it's worth, here's, that is very good for her. That's very important for her. I think she's going to get away. I think she's going to get away with this bitch. I think she's going to get away with that. It's not going well. Third note. They want to know whether Dugan needs to know the identity of the subject of the pending proceeding. Feds say no again. Defense says yes again. Masnica argues the government is stuck with the way the case was charged. The assistant U.S. attorney says she doesn't need to know the subject's specific name. That's not an element. How do you get to the actual impeding the proceeding? Masnica says, how do you get to the actual impeding of the proceeding if you don't know who it's for? Mastica says it's a constitutional issue. Edelman is currently in his chambers considering the instruction. You might be wondering, this is awfully similar to last notes. Yes, but the key difference. The last note asked whether Dugan needs to know the identity of the subject of the warrant. This note asks whether she needs to know the identity of the subject of the proceeding. Edelman splits the baby on the instruction. To know of the pending proceeding of the defendant needed to have sufficient knowledge about the nature of the proceeding. So that's where we're at. Is there any more updates since then, Adam? That's where we're at. Seems like they're deliberating even now as we speak. So we don't have an answer, but it seems as if we may have an answer on this relatively soon. Not looking good for the prosecution from the way these questions are coming in. But it does seem as if they're actually deliberating in a way that's, you know, trying to appreciate the law. How was Jesus an immigrant in Judea and the Roman Empire? And what were the immigration laws of Caesar, leftist Christians? These are all good questions. Good questions. Defense attorney Nutsack sounded like a fool in his closing arguments. How did she, who needed to use her backdoor jury? God only knows. How did she know who needed her backdoor? It's the whole thing sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. You must know who they're there for. Or why are you giving them the backdoor access? Judge Dugan's backdoor, a well-traveled area. And you have to ask yourself why anyone would want to be there, but okay. And on that little note, on that thought, I think it's time for us to wrap it up here. I was hoping to wrap up by 9 o'clock. I've got my whole family here. They all showed up here like an hour and a half ago in the middle of my show. So I need to get on out of here. I hope you all have a phenomenal weekend, an exceptional weekend, a weekend like no other weekends. Seriously, I hope it goes really well for you. I thank you all for joining me. God willing, I expect to be back here. Hopefully, maybe sometime over the weekend. We'll see. Maybe. See. I don't know. I got a party on Sunday. My wife's family, like my in-laws. I got to go to that. That's on Sunday. I don't know. We're going to try. We're going to see. I'm going to have my whole family here Saturday night. So I don't know, but we will see. I thank you all for joining me. Please make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons while you're here. Drop a comment. It helps the algorithm. I'm fighting AmFest. I need all the help I can get. Thank you so much. I appreciate you more than I can possibly express. Have a good night. And as always, Godspeed. Oh, wait. No, he forgot to check whether there was anything more. Was there anything more? Did I miss anything in the Rumble? Spud saying, Happy Hanukkah, Joe. I had to use Santa Claus because there's a Hanukkah Harry emoji at this time. Happy Maccabee. Sorry if I misspelled. You're perfect. You're perfect. Good night, y'all. Godspeed.